I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hi, how you going? It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Dr. Mike Gustafson. I'm Aaron Dickens. We're joining you today from the John Walker Soccer Complex, where later on today, the Texas Tech Red Raider soccer team will take on Florida Gulf Coast in the first round of the NCAA tournament postseason soccer. Just about 3 hours away here. Gus, how you going?
I'm good. I'm excited about this game tonight. But Texas Tech soccer to get an opportunity to do this. I think, what did we talk about the last time? Got to host one game was in 2019, maybe the very first time it ever happened in 2012. So we're talking about something in relative recent past, and the opportunity to do this kind of thing doesn't come around very often. And this team has a golden opportunity with the chance to host 3 games in a row across 2 weekends. But I am legit excited for this game tonight.
We'll visit with the head coach himself, Tom Stone, in about 27 minutes to break this matchup down. And weather-wise, if it stays like this, Gus, it'll be really, really nice. Nice fall afternoon.
It's funny you say that. Coach Stone and his media availability talked yesterday about I think it was yesterday when he did that, but he talked about perfect soccer weather, temperature in the 50s, and I was thinking about that from it almost sounded like the way cross-country runners will talk about it, because they would rather it be a little to the cooler side. But if you're out there running around for 2 hours and, running 5 miles or whatever these soccer girls do, they probably do prefer a little bit to the chillier, so it's probably a little bit easier on their bodies than coming out here in late August when it's 95 degrees on that turf.
Speaking of 95 degrees, do you know what temperature is right now in Fort Myers, which is where Florida Gulf Coast is located?
No, because that's on down into the state. I'm thinking of Panhandle, but my son right now is on the Panhandle on a beach somewhere, so I don't know. It's probably 80s or 90s, I would think.
85 degrees.
There you go. Yeah, kind of. This is where that part of the world gets a real advantage over the rest of us, because I don't necessarily think about, I want to be in Florida in the middle of the summer. But then when the rest of us start to, certainly as we approach winter, you start thinking Florida thoughts or Arizona thoughts or Southern California thoughts.
Well, I was kind of more coming at it from a perspective of, like, when was the last time that team played in weather that was below 55 degrees?
That's a good point. Yeah, and I would think that for weather for it to be prohibitive, like something that's really going to affect them, it would probably have to be another 20 degrees colder.
It's on Ames last
Yeah,
November.
Yeah, exactly. Or something with some real wind attached to it. In fact, that was the other thing Tom said. He said, going to be good soccer weather, temperature in the 50s and light wind, because the soccer people are as attuned to the wind, I think, as baseball people are, and probably softball people as well. If the wind is going crazy, and that's why it makes for a better fall sport around here. I don't know what spring soccer would look like.
Probably the same, just a bit sunnier, right?
Yeah, there'll probably be some days where the ball, you kick it there and it ends up over there. Yeah.
We'd love to hear what you have to say today on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can weigh in at doublet973.com or through the Double T 97.3 mobile app presented by Happy State Bank. And this game will be on ESPN Plus, right, tonight? Yep, for the folks that are asking that. So if you're not able to get out here to the John Walker Soccer Complex, and hopefully you can. It's a great venue, first and foremost. It's a really good team, second. And third, it's very convenient. Like, this is not a basketball game or a football game where you have to park in Narnia, right, and either walk or, wait for a bus to ferry you however many miles to the location. It's free parking.
Oh, yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
So it's a good time.
Yeah, it's hard if you're walking more than I would equate it, if you go to baseball games, about the maximum distance you would walk to go to a baseball game is what you would maximum distance to walk to this place tonight. And so this will be easy, and I would expect it'll be a busing crowd tonight. I know that's what Coach Stone has talked about and always talks about, and probably will talk about when he's here with us. But you get an opportunity to create a home field advantage, and it's pleasant out here. I mean, it's blue jean and hoodie weather. I mean, it's not. You don't need to be scared off by the weather.
No hand warmers necessary.
No, it's not. No, it doesn't rise to that level.
I mean, maybe a blanket if you're feeling, especially vulnerable.
True.
Look at this on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Aaron, what is the temperature in Bozeman, Montana today? Let's see. The temperature in Bozeman, Montana right now, 43 degrees, so not that much colder than it is right here. Low tonight is 28, and highs in the low to mid-50s for the next several days. And then it looks like a cold front will come through around Wednesday that will knock the temperatures down a bit, maybe offer up some precip as well.
And we're 60s and 70s next week, including Friday and Saturday. Next Friday and Saturday, of course, will be a big weekend, home football game and all that. Highs of 73 and 69. I say
nice.
That could also be a home soccer game on Friday night, but 73 the high temperature on Friday, 69 on Saturday. Perfect. But that should be really nice. For a good sports weekend, hopefully.
The cool thing about postseason college soccer that I did not know until this week, and shame on me, I should have known this before, is that unlike the NCAA tournaments in basketball, where you're kind of clustered around a home, like a regional site, or in baseball where it's you're all like you get 4 teams in Lubbock and 4 teams in Chapel Hill, whatever. There are 32. Different locations hosting first-round action in this tournament.
And I would think that's great for the sport because 32 markets are getting to enjoy this.
Oh, yeah.
And, baseball has talked about breaking that first weekend into 2 weekends and making them just basically super regionals every weekend. But the idea being you'd get 32 places that could host, and you can see where that would be great for the sport.
More Tech Talk next.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey, it's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Dr. Mike Gustafson. I'm Aaron Dickens. We're joining you today from the John Walker Soccer Complex, where later on this evening, the Texas Tech Red Raiders will take on Florida Gulf Coast in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. Red Raiders are a 2 seed nationally, one of, 3 Big 12 teams to make it in the postseason.
Yeah.
And looking to make a run, and it starts tonight, hopefully a very long run, starts tonight against Florida Gulf Coast. Things get underway here at 6 o'clock, and we are thrilled now to be joined on location by the head man himself, Tom Stone. Tom, did I hear you right that you've known the head coach for the opposition here for 20 years?
Probably at least. We've interacted and seen each other in the coaching carousel for at least that long.
It's funny. Like you wouldn't think that Florida Gulf Coast would just
Well, this is not his only stop. Very few of us get to one place and stick around as long as I have. But when you got a job as good as this one, it's hard to leave. And in his case, he moved around based on family preference. I think he started up in the Northeast and has been in Florida. He's been a Florida guy for a long time, though, and has just done an amazing job. I was, it's kind of mixed emotions. Excited to see a new team and a good team out of Florida that's been in this tournament 8 times, but not thrilled to know that, Jimmy was the coach because he's very sharp, very, very savvy guy.
What do they represent tactically? Are they a big physical team, speed? What should we look for?
I think, well, one, they're just used to winning. They win their mid-major conference all the time. Like I said, they've won it 8 times. They were losing 3-0 in their conference final to get here and won in penalties, so they came back from 3 down. So there's some resilience there. They've only lost 4 times. I just think they're used to winning. And teams that are used to winning behave in a certain way that, you can't really rattle them as much as you might a team that's taken a bunch of losses. So I think they'll be real consistent, and they have standout players at the right places. In the middle of their back line, their center mid, if their best player plays center mid, she might play on the right, and both their forwards are good. So, when you're building a team, if you don't have those places, you're not as dangerous, and they've got good people in the right places.
And I would guess that winning mentality is something that certainly your side has as well after this season.
We hope. I mean, I think the pressure built a little bit because we hadn't lost, and now we've suffered that and didn't enjoy it. So hopefully we're back where we were before in terms of our, just mentality about what it takes to win, because that's the thing, is sometimes you forget what it takes to win when it's a lot of those had come fairly easy, and the ones that came tough made us tougher. But now it's tournament time, so you either win or turn in your stuff.
I'm interested in your thoughts about the Big 12 this year. I heard you use the baseball analogy. That's why it hit. You talk about sliders and curveballs, and you even said spitball. But how our conference
showing my baseball acumen.
That's all right. Yeah, that was a little dated, but that's all right. You were talking about how this conference represents a lot, whereas some conferences have a style that they all play. I was just interested in that. Is there something you could elaborate on there? I mean,
when you look around the country, it's pretty obvious to if you're in it that the West Coast teams play very technical, passing the ball. There's not a lot of physical contact. You get the ball for a while, and we get the ball for a while, and, God, you guys look good on the ball. God, Stanford, you look good on the ball. And they just trade all these really pretty punches, and then a guy like Todd Schillenberg gets the job at Washington State, and he just goes full Baylor, if you remember the old Baylor teams on him, and made huge waves in the Pac-12. Really ruffled everyone's feathers did not like him. He took his team to the Final Four. Yeah. And so, the kind of the anti-style won out in the Pac-12 a few years ago, but that's their style. The SEC, fast, athletic, fairly direct, and that's why you see Georgia, I think, doing really well now, because the guy came from Southern Cal, Kadani McAlpine, one of the best coaches in the country, and he's got Georgia playing a little bit of a different brand, and it's winning in the SEC because it's counter to how everyone else is playing. And I think in the Big 12, there's just a variety. It's really hard to put your finger on it. If you watch our game with BYU, like, they are an offensive freight train, and every one of them looks like they could play for our, run for our Olympic sprint team. And so they're fast and athletic and go forward at all costs. And then you got Oklahoma State, who sits back and brings everybody behind the ball. And if you fall asleep, they play a counterattacking style, which is very effective. Cincinnati put 11 players in the box for most of the game against BYU and got a draw in Provo. And we're kind of a little bit of, hopefully, balance is our thing. We're pretty good at passing, and we want to be better at it, and we're growing into being a really good passing team. I don't know if we're quite there yet, but we're close. And that's frustrating for other teams who want to just bang and battle, because if you have the ball, then they don't have it as much. And so we talk a lot about, look, if the other team has less of the ball than we do, that's less chances they could hurt us. And that's pretty, self-explanatory. But we're kind of that passing team, and we attack with our outside backs, and we've got the best goalkeeper in the country. So, we're a little unique in that regard. TCU, fantastic passing team. I think the Big 12 right now is the most versatile group of teams in the country, which has prepared us, hopefully, for, the postseason. And
I would guess the schematic diversity just increases next year when you add those 4 teams from the Pac-12.
Yeah, the interesting part is 2 of them, Arizona and Arizona State, they're not all touchy-feely like Stanford and UCLA. They're more like us. They're tougher. They are. Not that Stanford's not tough, because, my gosh, they're tough, but to beat. But they're just play more of a style like the Big 12. Colorado plays a lot like some of the Big 12 teams. So I think, in that regard, we got the right ones. But they'll have to adjust a little bit to us, and we'll have to adjust to them, and that'll be really fun. Our league next year will be ridiculous. It was super tough this year with Texas being as good as they were. OU was just coming back with their new coach, so they weren't quite a factor yet. But they're getting there. They'll have to get there in the SEC, though.
You talked about the team's health and being relatively healthy. Obviously, the Macy Blackburn injury was big, but where are you? Where are you with that? Do they come out of the Big 12 tournament healthy and ready to go? And not banged up.
That's right. And part of that is good luck, and part of it is our sports performance team have just done a fantastic job. I mean, Matt and Katie and DJ are amongst the best in the country, and they're all at one school, which is amazing. And so they've got them really believing that if you follow this kind of protocol, taking care of your body, when you sleep, how much you sleep, what you eat, when you eat, all those things, if you follow it all and do the weightlifting right and the stretching, the recovery right, that you have just a percentage chance of being healthier. That's a significant percent. I don't know what it is, but it's significant. Good. And we've seen the value of it. And as we went through the season, the team was they were fresh every Tuesday. I've been here a long time. I can't tell you guys how many Tuesdays after a long weekend of 2 games, I'm like, wow, these guys are dead. And every Tuesday this team was jumping. And we have a saying, good Tuesday leads to good Thursday. Good. Thursday was game night. Now Fridays are game night. But they looked sharp this week, so we're thankful. And, yeah, Macy, that's – could have been devastating if we'd have moped about it quite enough, but thankfully we had Elise Anderson standing by, and she was already playing at a starter's level, and she was getting starters minutes. She just wasn't starting. And so when Elise stepped in, I think she had 3 assists in a row to win 3 games for us. So, well, you can't replace Macy, but Elise has been fantastic, and we were so lucky that we had her when that happened.
Just about 2 minutes left. We hear all the time about how apparel companies play in like basketball recruiting, maybe not as much in football. How much does that impact soccer, and is the Adidas deal for you guys pretty big?
Yeah, I think to get Macy Blackburn, we got 1 extra baseball hat for her from Under Armour, and that sealed the deal. I mean, for sure. Yeah, no, they don't play. That's not how it's played really with Olympic sports, but the gear is an attractive thing for them. They notice the gear. And certainly if you're Under Armour, the way Under Armour takes care of women's sports, it's a big plus. But the girls had to get used to the shoes because it was new for them. Under Armour wasn't in the cleat business. But when you start talking about Nike and now Adidas with us, immediately that's a soccer company. I mean, that's how they started. So their gear is soccer-related. They have tons of women's gear. Their shoes are amazing. And, Sam Corright can't wait to buy the Messi shoe because that's her favorite player in the world, even though we all know Ronaldo's better. But I think Adidas helps us for anyone who was a little hesitant maybe, but I don't know that anyone said no to us over our gear. Mm-hmm. I think we may have lost a player or two off the turf, but we covered that too with our new grass field.
Well, Tom, thank you very much for your time. We know you're obviously super busy. Best of luck tonight, and hopefully many more games out here to come this fall.
That would be great.
Fingers
Thanks,
crossed.
guys.
Tom Stone joining us on Tech Talk. More from the John Walker Soccer Complex coming up.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey there, how you going? Thank you for spending part of your Friday with us. Alongside Gus, I'm Aaron. We're joining you today from the John Walker Soccer Complex, where in a little less than 2 hours, we'll have NCAA tournament action between Texas Tech, a 2-seed, and Florida Gulf Coast. 6 o'clock start here on the campus of Texas Tech, and plenty of time for you to make your way here for the game. Big crowd needed. Don't always have to play postseason matches, games on your home field, your home pitch, your home turf, whatever the sport, and always a good thing.
Yeah, this is. I know about this from the, and it'll be no surprise, but just haven't heard the baseball people. You covet the opportunity to get your postseason at home, and these type opportunities. An interesting little footnote. And old man Jeff McGuire over there read this off this morning. But 11 years ago today was the first NCAA tournament game that Tech participated in, Tech Soccer, and they did so here, beating University of North Texas.
How about that?
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Feeding the animals, love it. But yeah, and then I recall a Minnesota, a Prairie View. So this has probably happened 3 or 4 times prior, but this is the best opportunity to host.
Oh, sure.
To stack up
2-seed.
2 or 3 games in a row, or 3 games in a row, all at home. And it's just a great, great, great opportunity, and it's a reward, but it's also an opportunity.
Real quick, back on the Cumbie stuff. And again, I think we both find this super bizarre because, we've all, it seems like most people have interacted with him on some level. I mean, I've got probably one of the only existing L.A. Avengers jerseys.
Oh, nice.
Hanging on my wall that he autographed,
That's
right?
Cool.
But just a really weird deal. I'd love to get kind of an unvarnished his side of things. I mean, you know what? If you're pro Sonny Cumbie just generally, like most Tech fans, I'm guessing most Texas Tech fans, I guess to be more specific, I guess you just hope that this is his kind of like I'm a man, I'm 40 moment.
Yeah, sure.
Launches him to great success. I fear that this might end up being more his. Hey, what do you like the most about living in Lubbock moment that Matt Wells had? Just that thing that's not connected to a game, right? It's not connected to the outcome of a sporting event that really just kind of hangs around your neck, right? And Gundy's moment was a positive, and has been a positive for him. And then the Wells thing was kind of like the last straw, I think, for fans.
Yeah, and the Gundy thing is sort of viewed as this moment in which he's protecting his players, and I don't know that, we'll see, as you said, we'll see, but the Sonny's move here doesn't seem as protective of the players, but I was thinking about it, like I wonder how orchestrated it is because he did it in front of his team. You know what I mean? Like and to your point, you talked about why not having your media relations person talk about it with him or whatever else, as opposed to doing it the way he did. Well, he did it in front of the players, and
allegedly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. And in a way that you go, whoa, that's big.
Yeah, I mean, again, we don't know, I guess, both sides to this story, but I think from where I'm sitting, unless Ben Carlisle fabricated the entire thing, right, which I find very doubtful, it's just kind of a varying level of not a great look, on the part of Sonny Cumbie. But hopefully there's a good resolution, and we'll see. What's interesting, Gus, because we've talked about this a lot, and heck, we talked about this with Tom Stone about 45 minutes ago. The Adidas deal, right?
Yeah.
And Tech will be transitioning to Adidas from Under Armour. And
next summer.
Yeah, and part of that process will also include changing a whole bunch of stuff, not big things necessarily, but just a whole bunch of things around campus, signage-wise.
Yeah, a lot of venue
right?
signage.
Because, right over there.
Yeah.
Right, as we sit here, I'm pointing toward the press box area of the stadium, the John Walker Soccer Complex, and there's a big old Under Armour logo there.
Yeah, right.
It's just a little banner. Right, it's not going to be. You're not going to need some excavator or bulldozer to change that out, but still, those things add up.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm sure Adidas is eager to get their 3 stripes on everything, and that may be part of the cost of doing business too. Like, hey, we're going to need your help with 47 banners and signage and outfield signs and you name it. That's. You're exactly right. It's the kind of thing that a lot of folks are going to have to be very intentional about. Hey, make sure you're paying attention to what's hanging in locker rooms, recruiting areas, all that stuff, and it's probably something, we heard, 8 Adidas people were on campus a couple weeks ago for 3 days. Kirby had talked about that. I would think that was part of their trip. Was seeing some venues and getting eyeballs on some things. If not this round, the next time they come out.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line from Matthew is the number 2 ranked softball recruiting class, the highest class recruited to Texas Tech in any sport ever.
Oh,
That's
Lord.
A good question.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, maybe some of the tennis classes have come close.
True.
I don't know.
Because baseball's had some good classes, but I don't think there's been a national number 2. Man, that really, really is glorious news. I mean, that's amazing.
Second time we've talked about number 2 so far today out here.
Yeah, you're right. This one is much better than the other one. But, I mean, just because I would assume to you, Dickens, that they were unranked. I mean, maybe somebody bothers with splitting hairs between the 49th best class and the 62nd best class in the sport of softball. I don't know. But they went from, I would assume, off the map to number 2 in the country. And if we would probably be taking note of this, if they were 22 or 12, we would be excited about it. 2? I mean,
2 is mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean,
like legitimately mind-blowing.
You bet it is. And what an opportunity, and I would assume that the type of players that are in that class can step right into what's going on around here. And I know they've done some impactful things with the recruiting in their first year and the portal and those things, but I would assume it is a new day over there. And what an exciting hire that is, and what a great opportunity it is to invest in the sport of softball here. So great.
And speaking of investing, how about the Matador Club?
Yeah.
Right, I think they're involved with softball, and from what I understand, it's $10,000 per player.
Big time.
Which, I would think for softball there aren't probably very many team-wide deals in that sport.
Yeah, I would think so. It's so impactful.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line from Val. Tech Soccer was the regular season champion, but not the tournament champion. Who was? Do they get to claim that they are the champions, like whoever wins the Big 12 football championship game, or is it strictly for an automatic tournament bid? Basically 2 champions. It's kind of like basketball, right? Yeah. So when Tech won its basketball championship, actually shared it, they had the regular season championship, and then Kansas won the tournament that year. Same thing.
Yeah, and there's
and Texas won that, by the way.
And you and I are that's right. I'm glad you said that, because my mind keeps going back to BYU. That we're looking down at the far end of the pitch there, and it's got we got 2 Red Raider soccer banners down there on the south end facing us, and they've got Big 12 logo and 2015 champions. Well, that was a tournament championship in 2015, peak Janine Becky era. Mm-hmm. And so that flies around here, but this will be the first regular season championship.
More Tech Talk next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey, it's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Dr. Mike Gustafson, I'm Aaron Dickens. We're joining you today until 6 o'clock. We'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line at Double T 97.3.com. This on the chat line from Lindell Jeff. ADU plug the K in class. Thanks for the explanation. Can't see Sonny being that kind of a guy. Yeah, no, it's it was very surprising. And I hope that maybe after the game tomorrow, there might be something about it. But who knows? I'm not losing any sleep over it. It's just kind of a weird story. Yep. That kind of has a Texas Tech Lubbock tie to it, because it involves our man Sonny Cumbie.
You bet. It is not the craziest thing to have come out of the Leach playbook with regard to media.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
it's akin to what we talked about from Lincoln, 6 weeks ago.
Leach banned, I think it was KLBK for a while.
Yeah, amazing.
But I don't remember what it was about specifically. I think something dumb, and I don't think that it lasted just a super long time. This on the chat line: what kind of run can the Red Raiders make in soccer? I saw BYU as the ones who, even after we dusted them in Provo.
Oh, we tied them in Provo.
but it was a dominant tie.
Yes,
let me tell you, it was just a rout of a tie.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And the fact that they didn't win the postseason tournament, they advanced to the championship.
Yeah. No silverware.
There's just 3 teams from this conference in the postseason, which what I would assume is not great, but there's 3 teams that seem to be pretty impactful. So hopefully there's good runs from all 3. But I don't know. I mean, I would love to see. I mean, they're going to step right off. Obviously you need to take care of this game tonight, but then they're going to step right off into some big brands. Could be. I think the winner of this game is going to face the winner of Princeton and Michigan, and then looming on the other side of the bracket are the Tar Heels, maybe the Crimson Tide. I mean, just a great opportunity to have those brands come through here and play on our turf.
Nothing would make me happier than the Red Raiders just beating the crap out of Princeton next weekend.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that happens.
I feel like we've played them here before.
Weren't they in a regional?
Yeah. Oh, not. I'm talking about soccer.
Oh, I'm talking about baseball.
No. No, we had Harvard here for baseball one time.
Yeah.
Not in a.
I get my Ivies mixed up.
Yeah, not in the postseason, but yeah, that. Yeah, would you come out here and like yell Latin slang at them or something through the?
No. Hopefully, if Michigan pulls through,
then you can come out here. That's a different.
Some Connor Stallions jokes. I think that's applicable no matter the sport. Like hopefully, like basketball season. Hopefully, there's a bunch of Connor Stallion stuff for the Michigan basketball teams.
Yeah, because that's not even, and you're not even. We're not talking about going out and cussing teams and doing all that stuff. You're just going out there and trying to be witty and and get after them. And they are ripe for that, like a bunch of Harbaugh and Connor Stallion stuff. I mean, that's a no-brainer of the century. And you know what? You bring the tech hecklers bring that to a baseball game if Michigan were to come to town or whatever. I mean, you just carry that, as you said. That's got a shelf life that gets you through the spring sports. Yeah, sorry guys, sorry, women's softball team, but you may hear that in May. Sorry. That's just how it's going to be.
I have great news for you. There are 2 relatively interesting college football games on tonight.
Nice.
And both of them start after this Tech soccer game.
There we go.
North Texas at SMU. That's an 8 o'clock kick.
There we go.
8 o'clock kick in Dallas. SMU is a 19-point favorite, so Vegas doesn't think much of our friend Eric Morris. The Mean Green are 3-6.
Mean Green will be here, September? Or isn't that our opener next year?
I think that's right.
In September? I think that's right. Yeah.
And then at 9:45.
Ooh.
9:45 Central Time, Wyoming plays at UNLV. And oh, how the mighty have fallen. Wyoming, I guess, is not nearly as challenging when they're not high up on their perch of 3 Mile High Stadium. They're a 3-point dog to UNLV.
Wow, really?
UNLV.
Wonder if they've had a key injury or two.
I don't know. I mean, UNLV is 7-2. They're experiencing a bit of a renaissance there under, I think, Barry Odom. I think that's right.
Yeah, it's the former Missouri head coach, yes.
Wyoming 6-3, so they haven't totally fallen off the map, but still.
That's a nice little Friday night matchup.
9:45. I don't know that I'm going to be up past midnight to watch Mountain West football, but still. It's nice to know that I have the option.
Yeah, sure. We'll get this soccer game here on ESPN Plus with our man Hacks on the call. So that's it is a nice little Friday night of programming.
Sure. This on the chat line. This society is soft. If a writer was talking crap about my players, I would have called him out in front of them so that you know what he did, so they know that I have their back. I wouldn't want him around either.
Well, and that's okay. But then don't be whining about nobody cares about my program. Nobody gives me any coverage. I mean, you can't have it both ways.
I mean, one, I have not seen any evidence that he was being unfair
talking
or personal with any kind of performance criticism.
Keep in mind they're 3-7.
Yeah. So it's not sunshine and rainbows, obviously. 2, that is something that might make you feel good in the moment, but ultimately that's a loss for you, right? That becomes a distraction for you, for your program, for your administration, all for a small pop, right? That's one of those things not worth it. It's like flipping the bird in traffic. It might make you feel good, right? But if the guy behind you is a cop,
Yeah.
you know, or if they get violent, that's one of those things that you kind of go, you know what? I was kind of a moron.
Yeah, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze.
Exactly. So I don't think it's anything about being soft. It's about being the CEO of a multi-million-dollar enterprise that is college football, and kind of knowing when to pick your battles.
Yeah, and I just wonder how loud the guy's voice is. I mean, if that guy's voice is his voice so loud, and our team was so bothered by his comments, like if the guy's on a rival site that has 200 followers, I mean, are you maybe worrying about something that you shouldn't be worrying about?
This in the chat line, I've never regretted flipping the burning traffic. Hey, man, good for you. No regrets. More Tech Talk next.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey there, how you going? It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Thank you for making us a part of your Friday. With Gus, I'm Aaron. We're joining you today until 6 o'clock from the John Walker Soccer Complex, where the Red Raiders are about 40 minutes away from kicking things off against Florida Gulf Coast in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. Red Raiders are a 2-seed nationally and appear to be just minutes away from taking the pitch. FGCU is, I think, already out there a little bit warming up. I would guess this is a little bit colder than what they're used to in Fort Myers, Florida. 85 degrees was the temperature there in Fort Myers today. Nice, kind of envious of that weather, honestly.
Yeah, no doubt. And we've got a nice week of weather ahead. But, yeah, and the Lady Raiders come storming out of the gate here and onto the field for their pregame warm-ups. And the vibe has definitely picked up. The music is pouring out of this locker room door over here. It's a pretty good scene. Awesome.
Love to get your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can weigh in at doublet973.com. Scott asks, is it sleeting out there at the field? It's coming down heavy at 50th and University. It's not, I wouldn't say sleeting. I think at one point earlier it was a little sleet, light sleet.
Yeah, I mean, like we could hear a little bit of stuff like some pepper hitting our little tent roof here, but you look at the sidewalk and it's as dry as a bone.
Yeah, were it not for that sound, I would not have been aware of it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm interested in. I don't doubt it at all, but yeah, it's dry out here. Thank goodness.
So here's me making the case that if Tech were to win tomorrow, and I hope that they do, it would be the most impressive win of the McGuire era up to this point.
Well,
right?
I like the sound of it,
which spans 22 games. You did beat Texas last year. They were ranked. They were ranked 22nd in the country, and you were at home.
Right.
You did beat a ranked Houston team at home last year, but number one, they were just 25th in the country. And number two, don't you kind of always expect to beat Houston? Right? In any sport, if you play them. And I'm not diminishing those wins. Those were great. I think the Texas win is by far the most fulfilling and rewarding and feel-good win of the McGuire era, and it'll take a lot really to overthrow that on the top of that list. But just in terms of a football conversation, you take emotions out of it. You've not been great on the road. We know this.
Yep.
To go on the road and beat a borderline top 15 team in Kansas, to me that would be the most impressive win since McGuire's been here.
Well, I love the case you're making, and I would love to have this this conversation sort of play out in a way that we could come back and provide the proper retrospective on Monday. The postmortem, I hope, is a happy one, and I think I'm just really interested to see how it plays out. The fact that I feel like our offense can score some points tomorrow, and we haven't said that a bunch about this team, but every day we get a little more healthy with Baron Morton, and it just they're so due to go off on somebody, and I am all for the first 50-point game of the year.
Yeah, because I don't know that 35 points would be enough.
No, I agree.
If you offered me 35 points right now for tomorrow's game, I don't know that I would take it. Right. And if I did take it, I wouldn't feel just amazing about it.
Yeah, I know. It wouldn't be the worst thing. I hope we could hang on at 35 points, but I'm with you. I'd rather like I said, I'd rather this be the game that we all remember. And we got a lot of good memories of Taj Brooks, but I would like it if this is the game. Remember that day Taj went off for 230 and 4 touchdowns? Please.
That is the early game tomorrow in the Big 12. 11 a.m. kick. Of course, we will have it for you here on Double T 97.3. But not the only Big 12 game, obviously. Baylor at Kansas State. K-State a 21-point favorite. Baylor, if they lose this game, they are not eligible for a bowl game, right? That would be their 7th loss. Clearly a very heavy lift for the Bears. And that's – you talked about the vibes here for this soccer game coming up in about 40 minutes. Vibes around Waco, not great.
No, that's right. I mean, and, yeah, we're on the heels of that Houston and Baylor game last week where it felt like the bigger story there was about who was going to be talked about more was the team that lost that rather than who won it, because neither team's having a really great year, and you could perhaps say that both of those coaches are on some level of a hot seat, and maybe a little too early for the Dave Aranda hot seat conversation, but maybe not, because
that OC is certainly on the hot seat.
Yep, no doubt.
Hopefully calling up realtors to kind of get ahead of it.
Well, you think about the fact that one thing Tech hasn't done this year, we haven't done, is really get to the quarterback a lot. And for us to have dumped 6 sacks, I mean, it feels like half of our sacks, and I think that's an exaggeration, but to have just 6 sacks in one game for our side, that's a big number, and that's what we did in Waco.
And then this might be the most interesting game of the weekend in the Big 12 for me. And I'm not sure that it's close, really. Oklahoma State at UCF. UCF is 1-5 in the Big 12, right? They've had a terrible season, relative to their expectations. They're only a 2.5-point underdog at home to an Oklahoma State team that looks like they're going to coast to the Big 12 title game. You wonder how Oklahoma State handles the victory over Oklahoma last week.
Yeah.
Hangover effect.
Because it feels like so much of what they've had going this year, certainly in conference play, was the revenge, and maybe not the revenge tour, but the let's get right tour after the South Alabama came into Stillwater and just kicked the crap out of them. Yeah, and it feels like the whole time they've been sort of flying in the face of that, and now the shoe's on the other foot. Like all of a sudden you guys are the ones with the pathway into the deal and probably spent all week getting patted on the back by, in Mike Leach's words, their fat little girlfriends. I mean, it's just right for that, because it's got to be, I would assume, a low excitement game relative to what they've been playing in to be going to Orlando this weekend.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.